I'll deal with whoever runs the show. They don't know. They are fighting with each other. There's tremendous infighting.
Protests there growing more violent. More than 600 demonstrators have been killed during this bloody crackdown on nationwide protests. President Trump's threat to Iran tonight and to countries doing business with Iran. Our chief foreign correspondent, Ian Pannell, from the region tonight.
Tonight, the State Department's now warning all Americans to get out of Iran immediately, as horrific new video captures the escalating bloodshed. Unarmed protesters simply calling for change gunned down in cold blood as the regime tightens its grip and President Trump weighs a military response to stop the crackdown.
We're looking at it very seriously. The military is looking at it, and we're looking at some very strong options.
While Iranians wait for help, agony and grief in Tehran as desperate families search through mounting body bags to try to find their loved ones. Despite an internet blackout, a handful of chilling videos are leaking out onto social media. Human rights groups now say more than 600 people have been killed, including 9 children, more than 10,000 arrested. What began as protests over staggering inflation and a currency collapse, now on the brink of a wholesale uprising. After making threats if the regime used violence, President Trump now saying Iranian leaders called him over the weekend, claiming
relations between the U.S. and Iran have come to a halt.
Yeah, a new report in The Atlantic is raising concerns about U.S. weapons stockpiles. Here's ABC's Sophie Flay.
This morning, a new report in The Atlantic is raising questions about what the president is being told about the war in Iran by his closest advisors. According to the magazine, Vice President Vance has repeatedly questioned the Defense Department's depiction of the war in Iran and whether the Pentagon has understated what appears to be the drastic depletion of U.S. missile stockpiles. The Pentagon has claimed U.S. weapons stockpiles are robust, but the report claims Vance has expressed concerns about the availability of certain missile systems. The White House has not publicly responded to the claims. Meanwhile, Iran has now proposed reopening the Strait of Hormuz in exchange for being allowed to collect tolls from ships passing through. Secretary of State Marco Rubio dismissing the idea.
If what they mean by opening the straits is, yes, the straits are open as long as you coordinate with Iran, get our permission, or we'll blow you up, and you pay us, that's not opening the straits.
With peace talks at a standstill, some world leaders are criticizing U.S. strategy in Iran.
Und ich sehe im Augenblick nicht.
German Chancellor Friedrich Merz claims the U.S. has no exit plan and says the U.S. is being humiliated by the Iranian state leadership. A far different tone is expected today from King Charles when he addresses Congress before tonight's state dinner.
And drone strikes shutting down the U.S. Embassy in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. Officials say so far no one's been injured in these strikes. And tonight, with Americans stranded across the Middle East, our Karen Travers asking President Trump, was there not a plan for this before attacking Iran?
Commercial air travel right now is severely restricted in the Middle East, and thousands of Americans are stranded. Why wasn't there an evacuation plan, and will you send planes to get people out?
Well, because it happened all very quickly. Secretary Rubio.
Late today, Secretary of State Marco Rubio on the plan to get Americans out.
And it'll be a variety of methods: charter flights, military flights and transports, expanded commercial opportunities, and in some cases land routes that will allow them to go to neighboring countries who might have open airports at that point.
Tonight, the president saying he was, quote, surprised by the scope of Iran's retaliation across the region, even though Iran had clearly warned how it would respond.
I was surprised, I think, and now those countries are all fighting against them and fighting strongly against them.
Tonight, Iran effectively shutting down the Strait of Hormuz, where 20% of the world's oil flows, sending oil and gas prices up already. Tonight, President Trump saying, if necessary, the U.S. Navy will provide escorts for ships in the Strait of Hormuz. As U.S. and Israel launching another wave of strikes on Iran. More than 700 Iranians killed, according to the Red Crescent. Today, there was a mass burial for the victims of the school attack, which left more than 160 dead. The Pentagon yet to explain what happened. And Israel saying it struck an area in Qom where Iran's Interim Leadership Council was meeting to appoint a new supreme leader. Tonight, verified videos online showing the area where those meetings were allegedly being held, reduced to rubble, but Iran denying they were meeting there. Trump asked who'll lead Iran next.
Most of the people we had in mind are dead. So, we had some in mind from that group that is dead. And now we have another group. They may be dead also, based on reports.
The president was asked what the worst case would be for Iran's next leader.
The worst case would be we do this and then somebody takes over who's as bad as the previous.
Remarkable video, verified by ABC News, circulating online, shows the tense moments as locals confront one of the downed American pilots, approaching one with a pipe. His parachute still attached. That pilot putting his hands up and kneeling before the men realized he was an American.
You're safe.
And this video showing Kuwaitis finding another one of those pilots.
Thank you for helping us.
After she's safely ejected too. David, amid this scramble to get Americans out, the State Department telling people to call a hotline. But when you dial the number, an automated message saying, do not rely on the US government for evacuation.